Us are nursing a hangover. Show of hands right here. Way too much last night. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Final Draft.
Hi, guys.
So, Draft, why don't you fill them in on how the schedule's going right now?
Well, the schedule is going as per plan. The only real major difference in the schedule from what you may see on the site is that the charity auction has been moved to later in the day.
I think around 5 o'clock.
That's right.
Yep.
So if you guys want to hit that, if you guys are still going to be in town and having fun, then that's the place, that's the time to do it. And it's for Amy's charity. Tara Strong, everybody. I think everybody knows Tara Strong. Mike the mic next to her, Mike Bernstein, and I'm Lee Tokar. And I'm actually not here. I'm only pretending to be here for a couple minutes to make a little announcement.
So
He's not a voice actor, he's a metaphor.
I'm a metaphor. My whole life is a metaphor.
You're just a concept that we just can't grasp.
I'm a concept wrapped in an enigma, dipped in bacon fat. I don't know. Yeah, just because that, everybody likes bacon, unless you're Jewish, and that's fine too.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
It's
Come on, who's
it's
kidding?
delicious.
So, we're
Well,
gonna in
we
a
have-
couple minutes.
Well, what time is it right now?
Let's look at the official
Let's
satellite
look at
time.
the clock. Yes.
1 minute two before we make the big internet announcement and the whole.
Announcements.
Yeah.
I'm going to open a can of Coke very dramatically.
Dun dun dun.
What's up? Got it. All right.
Good. All right. We're ready to go.
Okay, well, for those of you who are watching on the stream and for those of you who
Hello, everybody
have
at
just
home.
checked EQD or some of the other news sites, there has been an announcement.
Big one.
Yes, big announcement. For those of you interested, there is a new pricing schedule for autographs.
This is very exciting, you guys, because we wanted to show our appreciation.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that what's been going on, and you guys may have heard rumors and rumblings, and you might have, sensed the apocalypse coming.
The four horsemen, the four ponies of the apocalypse marching down the halls.
Indeed. The truth of the matter is that this convention, as awesome as it is, overextended itself a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, which means that as a community, we need to kind of rally a little bit and help them basically cover what they need to cover. As a result, the VAs have very, very generously offered some new rates for autographs and for signings and for voice
Yes.
recordings, etc. So you'll see this online. This is posted online. It's also posted on the whiteboard out near the autograph signing room.
Yeah. So what's the first couple prices there, Mike?
Well, the first price that I have on here is $10 for autographs. Now,
Dun, dun, dun.
before anybody freaks out, if you already bought a
If you already
voucher,
bought.
like one of those $20 vouchers, those are now 2 for 1. So
you can get another
You can
one.
get 2. Nobody's getting swindles here.
Yeah.
For $10, you can get a photo on your camera of choice with any of the voice actors, writers, or special guests.
And on behalf of the voiceover community, and I think I speak for all of us, because we all want to help this convention. They have tried their best to do a good job. First-year conventions sometimes are a little shaky, and so we have to be there to bolster them and help them along a little bit. So as a voice actor, we are going to be offering $25 for Mark Oliver, everybody. $25 for
He's
Mark
only
Oliver.
worth $25.
No. $25, and we'll get you a personalized phone message. So a ring, something like. So if you'd like to do that, this is just our way of trying to help the convention as much as we can. We hope that we can get you guys to help do the same. You're a very special community, and I know that you're very good at being generous, because that's part of the thing inherent to the show. So what are some of the other?
Well, and then for some of the voice actors here, they have exclusive prints of their photos, their headshots. They're selling those for $15 signed. So I think one thing to just stress here is that this is something really generous that these guys have been doing to help the con, because the con it overextended itself a little bit to try and make it as awesome of an event for you guys as possible. So hopefully we can rally a bit and help them out.
There
I
is
see.
also a PayPal account, I believe, Mike.
Yes, there is, and I believe those details are going to be posted if they haven't been already. They're already posted? Okay.
Yeah, so
They're
if you're watching at home, you could probably see it there at the bottom of the screen or somewhere around the posting. You can look at that. Please go to the PayPal account if you want, if you could be so kind to help the convention along. They tried their very best. So $15, $25, $100, whatever you can do. And we know you bought a lot of the merchandise, and this is maybe a lot to ask, but we are asking.
Yeah. No, and so the details are available on everfree.net, on EQD, or EquestriaDaily.com, obviously. It should be up on Derpy Hooves, on hopefully Roundstable shortly. It should be everywhere, so you guys should be able to find it.
Yeah.
And I saw you had a raised hand.
Yeah,
so.
you did. It's going to be a bit of a sticky wicket, but I think if we do a sort of a sound-alike something, as long as we could do something that does not directly, specifically imply anything, that would offend the gods of Hasbro or Everwatchful.
In all seriousness, I almost suggested to my crew, because there are the skybox seats up there. I almost bought a laser pointer for them so that while we're standing up here, whenever somebody said something, a little laser dot would appear.
A little red
I didn't
dot.
do it because I didn't want to scare these guys. But anyway, all right. Well, you guys are here for the screen and. I'm trying to find the actual title for this, but basically, this is the voice actor panel for those who have been on screen as well as behind the microphone. This is something a lot of people don't necessarily realize, that the illustrious cast on stage here.
Except me, because I'm not actually here. I'm actually leaving now to go and help out a little bit more with all of the.
He's a metaphor.
The four ponies of the apocalypse. So thank you all very much on behalf of myself and the voice actors. Please enjoy the panel. These guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Please donate if you can, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Everybody, Lee Tokar. All right. Well, so now we can do a proper. Now we can do a proper introduction. So here we have Mark Oliver. For those who don't remember, who should remember but don't, he is the voice of Gustave Legrand. I can't do the voice right. How do you do it?
I have never been so insulted in all my life. Oh. A supercilious French griffin. Do you want me to do you want me to really keep going in my character voice the whole time? Do you really want that? Really want that of me? No.
No. All right, and of course we've got the lovely Brenda Critchlow, voice of Zecora. Peter New, the voice of Big Mac and Train Conductor and Dr. Monitor.
Hello.
And quite obviously Tara Strong, voice of Twilight. I'm sorry, voice of Princess Twilight. Well, so basic question. You guys are on this stage because you haven't just done voiceover work. You've been on actual television shows. And so I wanted to know if you could just kind of give these guys a sense of what your screen careers have been like. What have you appeared in? What were your favorite roles? That sort of thing. Just very general. To whoever wants to take it. Brenda, I'm going to make you do it.
I'll start. Sure. Good morning. Let me think. I'm good. How's everybody today? Oh, that's nice. Like it, love it. Let me think. Has anybody seen or heard of the movie The Possession? Now, regardless of whether, you thought it was a hit or you thought it tanked or what have you, yes, I was in that movie. I played a teacher and was killed. It was sort of a horror movie that starred Cara Sedgwick. It was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is where I'm from. Another movie that some of you may have seen, it's called The Heart Healer, and that's with Jeannie Francis and Ted McGinley. And that show aired, let me just think, Hallmark Channel. So I played Jeannie Francis's friend in that movie. My film career, those are just sort of a couple of the major highlights. I've done a couple other ones since I think I've seen a few of you at my very first con. I started in theater And film and television in the 80s, gosh, I'm dating myself, was just getting started in Vancouver. So you might have heard me say this yesterday, for those of you who were here yesterday, we had shows like Jump Street, X-Files, Outer Limits. There might be a few of you who've heard of some of those oldies but goodies. And then every kind of movie of the week or mini-series that has come through. So if I had to try and go back and look at my resume and try and remember every show that I've been in, I'd have to go, okay, First Wave, yes, I was in that. Oh, yeah, it spans, a few years, as it were. I've been in the industry over 25, and if you like, you can always Google me or IMDb me, and then a full and complete list of filmography credits does come up for those kinds of titles. But BC has been quite the hub for that, and I've been blessed to be able to work both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. So I'll sort of pass this on to somebody else because I could go on.
And before you're you're released from this, one thing that I think is really cool. Oh, and Marika Hendricks, everybody. It's okay. It happens.
Come back. Thank you so much.
What I love is that, Brenda, you keep getting cast as news reporters.
Oh, yes.
And one thing that you never mentioned, but I think is so cool. I think this is the coolest thing ever. She was in an episode of MacGyver. I love that. That's so cool.
I did two.
You did two of them?
I did two, yeah. One I was a cop, and the other one I was a police woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Well, we were talking off mic because it's like there's no audience here or something. She was just telling me she's been in two episodes of MacGyver actually. Once as a police officer, was it?
I was a student in one, and then a police officer with Gary Chalk, who's here actually. That was, I think, my very first transition from theater into film, the MacGyver shows. So yeah, I had a little battering ram. You can go back and find the episodes.
Did you get locked in a room
with Gary Chalk? Lord, no.
No. That's what MacGyver's all about.
only on
Get locked in a
cartoons.
room.
Getting locked in a room.
Yeah.
No, in the first episode, one of the episodes was called Hell Week, and that was, as I said, my very first introduction to film and TV from theater, and I had to. Sorry, I can't concentrate on hearing. I had to open a door in it. We were all sort of physics students, and I had Richard Dean Anderson behind me. And just to give you an idea as to what happens to a theater person who comes onto a film set, well, I didn't know nor understand all the different calls that they're going to say. So I'm on my mark, and it's day one, and things go very quickly on a film set. And the director says, this is what you hear. All right, standing by, everybody, first marks. That means us to go on to our first positions and lock it up. Then you hear another assistant director say, lock it up. Then you hear a roll sound, and that's the sound person rolling and speeding, so everything is getting synced. And background action, that's for the background performers to start walking and start doing their thing. Well, I didn't know when my call was coming up, and all of a sudden the camera's on a dolly and it starts to go, and I'm thinking, oh, I gotta say something. I must be now. I didn't hear my guy. Well, MacGyver, and of course I'm completely way off. They hadn't come right to where I was supposed to be. Cut. When I say action, that means you. Everybody back to number ones, and then everybody goes back to it. It was horrible. I was never so humiliated in my whole life. Big learning curve, and it's a learning curve when you're on a film set. And the director wasn't that helpful.
I've kind of the opposite story to that.
What happened to you?
Well, it wasn't my first job, and thank goodness it wasn't my first job. I did, this was a commercial for Career Builder, where it starts on an office, but the office has been set up in the forest. And then at the end of the commercial, everybody, the managers are coming over the cliff to try and hire people, and everybody freaks out and runs away and ends up running off a cliff. But I did not know any of this. The audition was 4 or 5 of us lined up in a blue room, and then they put a cell phone on the floor and said, "Okay, guys, here's the deal. I need you to fight over the cell phone." So they say action, and we all leap onto the cell phone and try to make ourselves look shiny, and then, hire me. We have no idea what's happening. I get the call a couple of days later saying, you've got the job. I say, oh, great, good, that's awesome. I go to the wardrobe fitting. The name that they've got next to my character is Dart Guy.
Dart Guy. What's Dart Guy?
Guy. I have no idea. So I'm trying to ask the wardrobe people, do you know when this is? Have you seen the script? No, they haven't. They can't tell me. I have no idea what's going on. I end up on the set. I get to the set. I still don't know what's happening. The shoot is in the forest, and I'm sitting in a little room halfway up a mountain by myself because they're doing what's called French hours, which means that they're eating all their food on the set, and I'm alone for 6 hours. I have no idea. I have no script. Nobody's getting me a script. I still do not know what Dart Guy means. And then all of a sudden, as happens, some AD comes banging on my door saying, Peter, we need you. Where are you? We need to be on set. Let's go. Let's move it. They rush me out and they put me in a shuttle. They drive me down the hill. I jump out there. Run, get there. I sit at a desk. And then they go, all right, first marks, roll it. Speeding and action. And I go,
What the hell am I doing?
hold it. No. Not action. I have no idea what's happening. The camera is in my face. What is going on, please? And so I'm really glad that wasn't my first experience on camera.
Yes. It happens that way sometimes on film sets. A lot of people don't realize that. There's a lot of that hurry up and wait. And then all of a sudden you're just called, and they're frenetic because, they got to get the shot. And sometimes it's not always communicated.
No.
90% of the time it is, but there's always that 10% where there's that, sorry, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I supposed to do? So yes.
So what
experiences.
it turns out the Dart Guy was I was getting a dart. They weren't sure whether it was either going to be in the side of my neck or just in my coffee cup. If it was in my neck, I had to die. If it was in the coffee cup, which is I think the take they ended up using, I just had to do that and then run away.
Did they throw darts to decide? Is that how that
Yeah, it sort of felt like it. But yeah, if it had been my first day on set, I would have just tried to act, because I would have felt that same kind of pressure, that whole nobody's told me, and I really want to do a good job, and I want to know, I just want to be right, and I would have just tried to go.
Well,
Like this.
I know you're modest, but Peter, maybe share a couple of the TV shows that you have been in, because
Okay.
some of them you guys have heard of.
Well, I've been cut from Supernatural, and I've been cut from Dark Angel. I managed to make an appearance in, I've actually been in quite a number. I was in Fringe, I was in, thank you.
You were in Stargate as a
Stargate,
As a
yes,
farmer,
I
weren't you?
was a farmer in SG1. I've done some terrible, terrible TV movies. I'll talk about two really bad ones, both of which I die in both. One is called The Lost Treasure of the Grand Canyon. Anyone familiar? Wow. look
I've
at the
heard of
hands.
this, actually. I've heard of this.
It stars Michael
And he's
Shanks.
laughing down at the end of the
Yeah,
table
right.
there.
Do you know it? It stars Michael Shanks from Stargate and Shannon Doherty, and it takes place in 1909 in the Grand Canyon. And I die because I get rended in twain by the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl.
Because why not?
Because why not? Bad. The other one that I was going to mention is it's not the one starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. There was a movie called The Tooth Fairy with him. But earlier, there was another movie called The Tooth Fairy, just a couple of years prior, slasher film, starring Lachlan Monroe and Chandra West, and me. And in that one, I die, because the Tooth Fairy apparently is an evil ghost who likes to... I was playing a horrible redneck, and I was cut deeply by a knife in a very tender place. So I die a lot in the movies in Vancouver.
Well, Tara,
Seems you die in a lot of things.
I do, unless they're kids' movies. I've also done kids' movies.
They didn't kill you
They
and
didn't
make you
kill
a
me in
dark guy?
No, they just ignore me in Scooby-Doo 2. And then I'm an idiot in Agent Cody Banks.
Weird.
So, you know.
Okay. Hi. Hi. So, as most of you know, I grew up in Toronto, and there's quite a lot of filming there too, as well as voiceover. So I got to start doing both at the age of 13. My first on-camera job was a show called TNT with Mr. T, and he thought I was Punky Brewster when he first saw me. And he also called everybody Mr. Director, Mr. Lighting Guy, Mr. Whatever. And then at one point someone said, Mr. T, the director's name is Todd. He's like, I know that. And then he came to me later, he's like, I didn't really. I don't know anybody's name, so I just say Mr. and the job. And I was like, that's a good idea. Because, it's hard to remember everybody's name. Like in the voiceover world, we see most of the same people everywhere we go. But within the on-camera, there's always
I don't know
people
her
coming
name.
in and out.
Her name.
Your name's
is
Dart Guy from now
is
on, for the
Mr.
record.
Twilight.
Hear that, internet?
Twilight
Dart Guy.
Sparkle.
I also went to high school with Marika. Wow. I wasn't.
It's a little known fact.
So she could tell you crazy karaoke stories. Okay.
Yep.
And let's see. Before I left, I did Movie of the Week with Angelica Houston up there and Sam Neill, and I had a sitcom for a year called Mosquito Lake, which was tons of fun to be on a sitcom set for a year. And I mean, I did pretty much every on-camera show that they did in Toronto at that time. And then I moved to LA, and the first movie I booked was called National Lampoon's Senior Trip, and it was filming back in Toronto. And I got to make out with Max Headroom, so that was kind of fun. And I think my funnest times was I did Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and we got to shoot in Italy and Australia. And a funny story on set was that I played a British witch that never gets any spells right. And one of the producers who was with us in Italy went back to watch dailies halfway through the shoot, and she said everyone freaked out at the Trevi Fountain. Are there any children in the room?
Couple, yeah, at the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I was doing a scene, and at the Trevi Fountain, I went, oh, shh, bad word. I messed up a line. And she said everyone freaked out because up until that moment, they thought you were really British till you swore. I was like, okay. So, and just getting to travel for work is so much fun, and especially somewhere like Italy, like on your days off, you're going to Florence. So that did not suck, and we don't get to do that much in voiceover until really you guys came out and had this huge community where we get to travel a little bit and meet the fans and say hi to everyone. That's really fun. And now I've got a recurring role on Big Time Rush, which is very fun because the boys are very cute on that show. And you know, I think for all of us, we didn't know we were going to do primarily voiceover, and so anytime we get to exercise our acting chops and do different things, we're tremendously grateful, and we have so much fun. And there's not like you could say, oh, I prefer to do this or I prefer to do that. They're all fun and they're all different, and we're so lucky and grateful to be able to earn a living in this field that we love so much. And I think probably the biggest difference is we don't have to wait in hair and makeup and lighting. And of course, the day you look like crap, they're like, we forgot to tell you, Tara, Access Hollywood's coming today. That's happened a few times. So even in voiceover, you still kind of got to look aight when you go into the sessions. Got to look aight. Put that on a t-shirt. Okay.
Yeah, I keep hearing that you can go to the voiceover sessions in your pajamas, but no one has ever done that in front
No,
of me.
because
I've
they
never done
forget
it.
to tell you that Access Hollywood's coming.
That's right.
Hey, is it okay? We're shooting B-roll. Really?
Yeah.
So what's
Michael
the
Dangerfield.
question? I'm a little behind because apparently you can stay up late in this town, and they serve booze. It's all new to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know what.
not
Did
why
you
I was
experience that too? I don't know. I'm new to that. Oh, so I'm a little slow. So just bear with me with that. What's the?
The
so what do
question
we-
was, could you recite the entire
Your
script
resume.
of season
No, I
one?
cannot.
No.
Next.
No. The question was, this panel is about, that you're not just a voiceover artist, but you're also on stage and on screen. So.
Sounds. Yes.
Yes. So
Okay.
it was a general question. as
So
to,
I'll tell you a little story. So I just
No.
did a
No stories.
What's that? Back in the day. No, so I just did a movie with, well, actually it was a year ago, but it's just out now. It's called The Package with Steve Austin and Dolph Lundgren. How do you say it? Is that right?
Lundgren?
Lundgren.
Lundgren.
Is it Lung?
I don't know.
Mr.
There's no
Mr.
D on the
Russian
end.
guy from the Rocky movie. Mr. What's your name? Tall, you know. So I play like this kind of mafioso, kind of Godfather character, and I get killed by a headbutt by Steve Austin. And yes, a headbutt. It's one shot. It's one hit. And but I was kind of nervous because his head is like the size of a beach ball. I
Was
swear
your
to
name
God.
on the script Headbutt Guy?
No, my name was Anthony. My name was Anthony, and but in the scene, I sort of have to lean into him, and I'm all threatening because he's tied up in a chair, and I'm all into his face, and I'm like, you know, whatever's gonna happen to you, bah bah bah, and he just kind of gets his momentum and just goes ba boom, and hits me. But when we were setting up the shot, I was like, I was really nervous. I was kind of like George Costanza from Silent Lake. So how far are you from me? So that, because I really didn't want, if he did hit me, he would have killed me. Like, I'm convinced, you know, because and he just kept going, man, just look, man, I'm not gonna hit you, don't worry. I said, so are you going on 3? You going on 3 or is it 2? Because and with the differences of the timing, you will kill me. And he said, I won't hit you, man. And I think he was starting to get mad. And then I was like, are you mad because I'm checking? So anyways, the whole thing. And because I keep checking. And but the way they shoot it actually is like, it's kind of, they shoot it from the side, and then so he's here and I'm actually here kind of thing. So when he goes like that, it's quite far away, but I was still kind of nervous. And so that was fun. That's called The Package. That's coming out, I think it's out now, like in the last week. And what else? Smallville fans? Or any Smallville fans? Who watched season 10? Did anybody watch season 10? So I played a villain called Gordon Godfrey in season 10. Had a 5-episode arc on that in that season. Also
I had a
died.
5-second arc in that season.
What's that?
Yeah, he had a 5-second arc. I think I had like about a 2-second arc. If you really looked at
And
it.
He played it.
I
He played
was
a character
killed
called
in
Dark
that.
Guy.
I was actually in the very last episode of the whole series in season 10, and I was actually the last actor to shoot a scene on the show. It was actually kind of cool. So I shot this. It was like a monologue, and I was doing my thing, and then the first AD yells out like, "And that completes 10 years of Smallville," like this, and everyone just started clapping and hugging and crying. And there's the tears coming down from everyone. I'm kidding. No, but you guys are really. So that was fun, and then I'll tell you one other thing. So I was on Psych, and this past summer, and it was my weekend at Bernie's role, or I was dead for basically 90% of the time that I was on the show. So okay, Michael, take your mark, just lie down, and I just had to play dead for. Do you guys know Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny. I was like, I literally would just, okay, I'm going to work and I'm going to lie down on a floor. And then everyone just talks around me, and it was very funny. So anyways, all good. Good to be here. Hello.
My first film and TV role was on a TV show called My Secret Identity. And the guy, I was fairly kind of excited about it because the kid from Stand By Me was in that show, looking totally different than he was when he was in Stand By Me. Anyways, so that was kind of nerve-wracking. But for me, the most nerve-wracking thing was they were visiting a private school, a girls' private school, and I was one of the private school students. And the first scene that I'm in takes place in a pool. So I'm the one that's swimming in the pool. And I've got the first line of the scene. So I'm swimming, and they take however many takes of me swimming in the pool with the other character, the other girl, the actress, pretending she's coaching me, running along the sides. And then I have to get out of the pool and deliver my first line. While I'm so worried about what part of me is hanging out of the bathing suit, because I've been swimming for like 15 minutes, and I'm pulling my bathing suit out of my butt. on camera, right? So everyone could see this. And I forget that it's my line. I just forget that I have a line. I'm trying to pull myself out of the pool, not up the ladder, off the side. We all just stand there because nobody knows who's got the first line. I realize it's my line. And I do something that's completely unheard of for an actor. I ask somebody else if they want the line. Yeah, it's unheard of for an actor to do something like, first of all, I'm not the director, I shouldn't be giving away lines. But I did, I just said, I can't, I feel like I can't deliver this line after trying to get out of the pool. Anyway, so that was my stupid first day on set. And then fast forward to just a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I did a play for the first time in about maybe 10 years. And I have to say, after 10 years of doing voiceover, at the very end of the play, I had a 5-page monologue. And trying to memorize a 5-page monologue after not memorizing anything for 10 years was insane. I did it on opening night. I got the monologue for the first time from top to bottom, and then it was fine after that. But before that, it was a nightmare. Anyway, love theater, but it was a bit of a shock to the system. Ready?
It was a dramatic pause.
I'm like a really, 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 really old Justin Bieber. So I
You're
go
not
back.
nearly that annoying.
Oh, you don't know that, but anyway, the first chance I got to be in a movie was in 1973, and it was in Rome, and I was with my grandmother, who knew people, knew how to get things done. And there was a film that was being made at the time by this guy. Do you know who Federico Fellini is? Do you guys know who the director of Federico Fellini? So it was a film called Satyricon, and it was being shot at the wonderful studios of Cinecittà in Rome. And so my grandmother pulled a string and got me in on a crowd scene. So I got to play a Roman slave in this movie, and it was just. It's a shame because it was so beautifully art directed. It seems almost like a disappointment to continue at that point. I should have just thought, oh, well, this greatness is rubbed off on me. I should just leave this alone because it's not going to get better. I mean, we've had a few sort of things that have been fun. And then when I came back to Vancouver and I was started doing voiceover work, my agent at the time, visionary, said, do you want to just be a nude body double in movies? Because there'd be a lot of celebrities who don't want to, take all their clothes off for a scene. And so I would be an aspect of anatomy belonging to this person or the other person, which was funny because it's about the most. I can't think of anything that could be less of a dignified kind of pursuit on a movie set. Mariah? But it was very, so that was very interesting, and I mean, I've done any number of, okay, Travelers moving, thank you, thank you very much, thank you. I come from a movie family. My grandfather was a silent film producer and produced over 200 silent films. Have you ever heard of a film called The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari? Anyone
Yes.
heard of it? So he produced that. So when I'm not doing this stuff, I'm a documentary filmmaker. So I just came back from Germany where I've been trying to get co-producers for this documentary about my grandfather's silent film work. And so my experience of the film world is through extremely rose-tinted glasses, because I imagine what it must have been like to have been a part of this production or the other production. And it hurts me so much that the idea of not being able to participate in something really worthwhile, you think you're making art or something, then I really love the voiceover world because it really honestly is what it claims to be. You know, it doesn't aspire to sort of phony pretensions or anything like that. Having said that, I think that we were able to sneak a lot of tremendous artistry into these voiceover performances. You know, we have typically voice actors get this line from people who don't know anything about the business. They go from people you meet at a cocktail party or something. They'll say, "So, do you do any real acting?" We get that a lot. Do you do any real acting?
You're allowed to shoot people if they ask that.
I was going to say, Tara,
My esteemed colleagues.
you've tweeted against that sort of attitude.
And I put that on my Twitter one day because, of course, it's completely absurd. And the idea, you're right, that people think, oh, it's just reading or whatever. We're all seasoned performers, and when we're in a session, we actually imagine these characters coming to life. And if we were just reading these moments, they wouldn't translate into falling in love with characters, and it's very collaborative. So you're right. You're right.
And just to revisit that thought for a second, I can't emphasize enough how pure I think our endeavor of voice acting is. When I watch people so effortlessly lift a script off of the page and make it come to life, and all I feel myself is that I'm given this complete license to break every law of physics or defy reality, that it's very hard for me to scale everything back and just go, okay, dude looks like this, take the hat off. Looks like this, so we cast you like whatever, Russian mafia hitman, evil Nazi, which is what I get, you know. They just go,
I get huge fat delivery man.
no, you'd make a great Nazi, Peter.
Thank you.
So, but
Thank
it's
you.
very
Yes, I would. Make an
It's a
excellent
lovely,
Nazi.
lovely, pure aspect of acting, voice acting. It's, and I said the other day, and it was such a corny line, I'll repeat it. We live in a highly visual world. We're dominated by the visual, but sound, and particularly the human voice, is the thief who comes and breaks in through the basement door of the imagination. That's what we do.
All right, well, we've got some time for some questions if you have questions for these guys. So there is a microphone there. As was the case with every other panel so far, these guys obviously can't answer any questions about unaired material, whether it's Pony, whether it's screen projects, etc. And yeah, my good friend Mr. Brush and Bones there is going to make sure that your question is not something obscene.
Let's see. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi. I just want to. My question is for Pete. I remember checking one time. I even saw. I noticed on your IMDb filmography that one of the films you were in was actually The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yes.
And I was curious, what was it like to work with Terry Gilliam?
Fantastic. Fantastic, and such a thrill.
I'm in that movie too.
Yeah, that's okay. We're talking about me right now,
Go
though.
back and read IMDb properly next time.
So, yeah, Terry Gilliam is.
So hurt right now.
That's all right. He's okay.
I'll give you a chocolate mousse later to make you feel better.
Excellent. So, Terry Gilliam is the only director I ever said to my agent, and I did it maybe 10 years prior to Parnassus shooting. I sat my agent down and I said, listen, if Terry Gilliam comes to town ever and makes a movie, I'm in the movie. Put me in the movie. I'll be on the crew. I'll lift a box. I don't care. I'm in the movie. And so when that actually then happened, of course, I was really nervous. It was, a terrifying audition, but I had to get it. I just had to. And I really didn't care what the part was. And the part that I ended up getting was for stuttering paramedic. How many of you have seen the movie? Yeah? Well, it's basically a joke. I have a joke that I really want to ruin, because now I know you're all going to go out and watch it. But it was fantastic. It was such a thrill to be on set. We shot, the scene that I'm in was basically CGI, except for the actors. So we shot in a giant blue room with some sand on the floor, and they took, there's a theater in Vancouver called the Orpheum, which has this grand staircase that leads sort of from, the theater is kind of on one street, but the entrance is on another street, so there's this kind of overpass and some stairs. And they took the carpet and recreated it in the studio, but they took the walls off and the ceiling off, and they cut the edges into the shattered thing, because in the moment that this is all happening, the universe is, falling apart. And the only thing left are the stairs, and Colin Farrell running down them, and Andrew Garfield falling off the side while Lily Cole tries to rescue him. And then this is how the blocking went on that show. Normally blocking on a movie set is fairly rigorous. You have your marks, as you said earlier, and they tape them on the floor, and everybody sort of sets into a kind of a mechanical place where the scene is going to happen. The blocking for my scene was this. Terry Gilliam comes over and says, all right, so Colin's going to come running down the stairs here, and he's going to come past you there, and then Christopher Plummer's going to come over here, Parnassus is going to come here, and he's going to bring a desert with him, and it's going to look fantastic. At least that's what they tell me. And he walked away. That was the blocking, and so then we shot. And we just made it happen. The desert did look fantastic. It looked not anything like what I expected it to, but then does anything in a Terry Gilliam movie ever look like you expect it to? It doesn't. So it was just a supreme thrill. And the guy gets stuff done almost, more than any other director I've seen work. He goes and he gets it in the can, which is contrary to his reputation, because he has this reputation of going over budget and not getting his movies and everything else. But that really was not the experience that I had. And then it was Christopher Plummer's last day on the set, so at the end of the day we sang Edelweiss, and we opened champagne. So there you go, it was fun.
Thank you.
I was wondering for all of you, if any of you could go anywhere in the world, where would you probably go?
If we could go anywhere in the world.
Like just a vacation?
I want to go to your house and play with you.
That actually might be kind of fun. Where do you live? Here? You live in Kansas City, Missouri.
Maybe we could go somewhere else together.
That'd be great. Never visited. Yeah. Never visited Kansas. That'd be great. Among other things.
Okay.
I'd check out Kansas. I'd go to Europe too.
Can I get a schmoopy doopy doo?
A schmoopy doopy doo?
Or just whatever
Or a
part of
schmoopy
that.
doo? I'll give you a schmoopy doopy doo. Schmoopy doopy doo! Kind of sounded like Scooby at the end there. A little croaky.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My schmoopy doopy pudding pony pie.
As far as Western animation goes, there seem to be a whole lot of comedy roles out there, but I was wondering, why are there certain serious roles that seem to be kind of reserved and closed off exclusively for the live action stuff?
I don't think that's true. That just depends on the genre. A lot of great superhero stuff's pretty serious. Batman series and the Green Lantern, and there's a lot of pretty serious, amazing animation. But we've all worked on funny stuff and serious stuff, and that's why we're actors and not just voice people, so we can do both.
Thank you.
Hello. As far as live action roles go, what would you guys have to say is your favorite role you've played?
Coming down that end. We've been talking over here for a while. Marika.
Bathing suit role?
No, the bathing suit role. No. Although, you know what? I volunteered at a youth drop-in center, and the youth worker found that episode on YouTube, which was really embarrassing. Anyway, I played Cleopatra in a stage, in a play, the version of Caesar and Cleopatra, which people are more familiar with the Shakespeare version of that story. This was the Shaw version of that story. And Cleopatra is about 16 in that. I'd say that's probably my favorite thing that I've done in terms of live action stuff. It's theater, obviously, not film and television, but yeah, it was cool. Plus, they gave me extensions down to like my butt. The same butt I picked the bathing suit out of.
I've played Satan about 3 times.
I'll answer that.
So typecast. And I got to play this really, really evil Cockney demon one time. And I adored playing that character.
Okay, I have a few. You know, I think being lucky to do something that you wouldn't normally do, like a stunt in a show or something where you get to run, you know, like The Net. I did a lot of running in that show. Jump Street, I had to fire, say, a weapon. And doing a horror show where you get to scream at imaginary things and do everything on cue, and then you've got people off camera that you can't see, you would never see, but it's off camera, and they're yanking at your appendages to make you do things on cue and action, and somebody pulls you this way, or you're on a guide wire. Those are the kind of roles, and I mean, it's varied, so I can't remember each show in particular, but each one had something special that was like, wow, I'll never do that in my real life. How cool is that? I get hired a lot to be a reporter, whether it's a news anchor or a live reporter on a scene where they've got a wind machine in your face and you're basically saying, what you're seeing is a freight train carrying radioactive and nuclear chemicals as it speeds out of control. And you've got something in your face going whoosh, because there's a storm or something like that. Yeah, I get hired for those parts, and when I say do those ones in my sleep, I studied any reporter from CNN to King 5 News to wherever you're from. I try to listen and imitate that reporter voice so that if I get a role, I can go up against the real reporters and hopefully book it, because they don't have necessarily that kind of voice training and the acting training behind it. They've gone to broadcast school, and a lot of them have a little bit more difficult of a time to bring the theatrics and the dramatic sort of intent to the role. They tend to read it a little more flat, and they don't take the direction as well. So sometimes I can book roles over real reporters, which is always kind of exciting.
It's hard to pick a favorite, but I'll choose 2. One of my very favorite things I got to do was there's a Canadian independent film called Sunflower Hour, where I played, it's basically a mockumentary about a children's television puppet show called Sunflower Hour, and the documentary follows a contest to hire a new puppeteer. But the comedy comes in that the puppet show is run by pornography producers who have decided that they want to break into children's television. And I'm one of the producers, and I'm just awful. And it was so fun. It was so fun to be just the most unapologetically awful person. And it was a really good time. And then the other one I'll choose is, I did a short film called Crazy Dracula's Spring Break Weekend, and I got to play Kevin, the bald wolfman. And I rather enjoyed playing Kevin, the bald wolfman, because he was this sort of, you know, quite a disaffected Brit like this, and it was just very entertaining to be covered in hair from my nose down and then not on top, and then to be speaking like this, you know, and have quite a level head about everything. I thought it was very entertaining to do. That was really good.
My favorite would be Sabrina Goes to Rome, because it was in Rome. And isn't it interesting that we've got 3 favorites that were British and were voice actors? Interesting. And also because I worked with Melissa Joan Hart and her family that were so generous and lovely, and we're still friends today. And because it was, like you guys were saying, where there's things happening, it was a lot of special effects. And, you know, my magic would be I'd go like this, and then they'd animate, or however they did it, my magic happening, and you'd have to shoot things double time so that they could freeze frame on different magical elements. So, like you, I would never get to do real magic in real life. I mean, in cartoons, yes.
They don't let you.
They don't let you do real magic in real life.
I know.
So that was definitely a very memorable time in my life.
I would say my favorite role so far was probably playing Gordon Godfrey on Smallville, because I started out being in the first episode being this kind of small town radio DJ, and eventually by the end of that episode I sort of take over the world kind of thing. It was one of those things, and it was just cool. I was like everyone's listening to me in the whole world and blah blah blah. So that was kind of fun. No, they do not. And then I would say that one of the cooler projects when I first came to Vancouver that I got to work on was Dreamcatcher. I don't know if has anyone seen that with Morgan Freeman and so I had like literally a one-line part, but it took 5 days to shoot like 5 pages of dialogue, because it was Morgan Freeman and then Tom Sizemore and then myself and one other guy, and Lawrence Kasdan was the director, and he wrote Empire Strikes Back. So I was kind of geeking out about that, because I was like, this is pretty cool. And but it was sort of funny because during the shoot, Tom Sizemore lost his wallet. And I swear to God, he thought I stole his wallet. I swear to God. I was like, there was like I was sitting in my chair, and I had this big coat on because it was in winter, and then he kind of like did the walk by, and he kind of tried to see in the coat, like, is it there? And then his assistants did the same thing. I'm like, do you really think I'm going to steal this guy's wallet? It was like Seinfeld. My wallet's gone. My wallet's gone. And then they were going into my little, it's not a trailer, it's a little box that you stay in. And someone had shuffled my bags and clothing. And I'm like, do you really think I'm gonna be on a movie with Morgan and I'm gonna steal the wallet? That's the good move. No, I did not. And then I'll tell you one other quick, tiny little thing.
So where is the wallet, though? Where is it? Where is the wallet then?
I have no idea.
So fess up, Michael.
Yes,
Yeah.
but so then I was at the snack table with Morgan, and I thought, okay, here's my chance to talk to Morgan Freeman. He was there, and he was dipping his broccoli in the dip and everything. I was okay, here we go. And so I've kind of, talking to him. And I actually went to university in Kentucky, and he actually was born and grew up in Memphis. So it's only about 3 hours away from where I went to school. And we used to go down there all the time. And I thought, okay, I'll mention, that I went to school in Kentucky, and he'll say, oh, well, I grew up in Memphis, or something, So we're talking away, and what do you think of Vancouver, and blah, blah, blah. And then, and then I go, okay, so, and I go, yeah, so I went to university in Kentucky. And he kind of just looked at me, and he didn't say anything back. I thought so he's like, he just goes, mm-hmm. And I go, and then I moved to Toronto, and then I moved to LA, and now I live here. And he goes, he dips broccoli, and he goes, world traveler, and walks away. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Not good. So I had the wallet stolen and the world anyway.
All right, thank you very much.
That's a good story.
And I should say really quick, we've only got a little bit of time left, so we got maybe time for 2 or 3 questions at most. Sorry, guys.
Which do you prefer to work on, live action or animated, and why?
I don't have a preference. It's all acting and it's all fun. You get to exercise a really different muscle in voice than you do on camera, and vice versa. So.
And we're performers, so I think for us, if an opportunity comes to be on a film, why not? I would never say no to the work opportunity, and it's so varied, right? So, yeah, I'm thrilled to be able to work in both mediums, actually.
Thank you.
Hi.
It's a good question.
Do any of you get recognized more for your live action roles or for your voice acting roles?
When I go to Starbucks, I'd like an Americano with an extra shot. They go, "Oh, you're that guy."
You know,
that a lot.
I think it depends on the promotion for a particular show. So, anybody see Firewall? Harrison Ford, Firewall? Okay, I was in that movie. That was, when that came out, a few people recognized me on the street because I was the one that pushed the button on Harrison Ford. So every now and then, someone, yeah, you look familiar. Yeah, I've seen, you know, so you get a little bit of recognition for that. For voice, you have to be in that community to be listening to hear, because sometimes you might not recognize if I'm the new Ford Explorer. You might not know that that was me that did that particular advert, right? So,
The only time I've ever been recognized is when I've done on-camera commercials. That's the only time anybody's ever said, "Hey, aren't you in that?"
Yeah.
Other than that, nobody's ever said anything, recognized me.
except my daughter. My daughter's 4, and she knows Barbie's first Christmas, and I say, "That's Marika."
Actually, I was one time at a bar with Mr. Peter New here and
Yeah.
Andrew Francis, and we were sitting there, and a guy walks up and pointed at Andrew Francis. Weren't you on that movie a few years ago? Remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Andrew schmoozed away. And,
He sure did.
And we chatted.
We did.
Yeah.
We had a good conversation
Yeah, we did.
about him.
I mostly get recognized for commercials, as well, which is always want to I've done a lot of stuff, but usually small parts in a lot of stuff, and so you always are hoping to be recognized for something that you're proud of, like say stuttering paramedic, but it's almost always, weren't you the guy from that commercial from 6 years ago that criticized his wife when she says, "Do you want the on?" And you're like, okay, yeah, that was me.
Weren't you dark guy?
Dark guy from the, yeah. Exactly. But I
Peter
wanna-
did an amazing commercial that had a lot of airplay, and it was because of his comedic timing, and he just said something that he was every man in that commercial.
I know, the
And
one
every
time I've ever been
woman
every man.
wants, your guy to kind of compliment you, even though you're sort of saying, "Do I look fat? Or how does this look? Or does this make my ankles look?" And you don't
That's what I get,
really
yeah.
want the answer that you're going to get, and he kind of delivered the,
Yeah, the full-on.
yeah, it
Well,
does.
here's how you really look. I don't remember now, but it was years ago.
hilarious.
But I still get stopped for that. But I do want to. It reminds me of what I think is a fairly entertaining story of a friend of mine who works in Vancouver, Chris Gauthier, who was on Eureka, and some of you may know from some things. He and I were both in Agent Cody Banks, and then we both got cast in Scooby-Doo 2 subsequently. And we both got cast in Scooby-Doo 2 because they couldn't decide which of us to hire. So they just hired both of us and had us deliver the thing in unison, which I thought was really fun. But on our first day on set, the director of Scooby-Doo 2 comes up to the two of us and says to Chris, "Hey, you were the guy in that Agent Cody Banks movie, weren't you?" And he goes, yeah, I was. There's this little pause, and then he looks at me and goes, "Peter was in that too." And the director looks at me and goes, "Oh, yeah."
World traveler.
World traveler.
I think for me it's funny right now, like little kids will recognize me from Big Time Rush and grown-ups recognize me from my cartoons. And that's honestly because of you guys and the internet and you searching out who you love and giving love on Twitter and Facebook and voiceover actors getting some nice recognition, and we're so grateful for you guys too for putting that out there, and it's fun for me. It's fun for my kids when people recognize me and they'll say, "Are you Tara Strong?" And my kids are like, and they're like, "How do they know it's you?" And they want to take pictures, and that part's kind of fun. I mean, the positive reinforcement is really fun. The negative stuff, like if someone's seen you on a drama where you've played, like I played someone that killed her boyfriend once on a TV show, and this girl's like, "You are a, B word," and I'm like, "That's not real. It's acting. You should be in jail." Okay.
I always imagine, like, if you ever watch, like, Law & Order SVU or whatever, that the sexual predators or whatever they have on that show, like, the actors must, like, go in that knowing that they're going to get berated on the street later on. Yeah. Yeah.
I have been recognized for the character I played on Smallville. I was in Best Buy, and the guy goes, "You were the world traveler from Dreamcatcher." No. But for voice, it's hard because you don't really, right, it's just the voice. So, unless you're kind of doing the voice out there in the public or in a store, then you're that, so it's kind of hard that way. But yeah, so he's from Ireland, by the way. Does everyone know that? Dublin.
You should ask him what he thought of my dinner etiquette. You should tell everyone what you thought of my dinner etiquette last night.
I thought you were a child.
You were a little badly behaved.
M.A. Larson was slingshotting people with marshmallows.
We were throwing bread.
He hit Mike the microphone from across the room.
Interesting. We were making Stonehenge out of bread and butter.
That makes me feel like we could have gotten away with a lot more at our table.
By the way, we were also making bread noses, and by the way, I did not have one drink.
Nope. Completely
You had 10.
No. That was sober behavior.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, this is for all you guys who did like voiceovers in like video games and such. How does that differ from like doing voice acting? Like in a, is it like different at all, or like for cartoons?
I think the biggest difference is when you're doing a video game, you're typically alone, and when you're when you're doing a series, it's nice. Except for My Little Pony, unfortunately, because I'm in LA and they're all in Vancouver. But typically you work together and you can play off each other, which is nice. But for a video game, because there's so much dialogue for any different 100 or 1,000 sequences, that you do it alone. So actually you tire quicker, even if you're not screaming. And typically video games are more vocally taxing. It's like, can we get 10 different death sounds and 100 different kicking sounds? And it can be very taxing. But even if it's just you speaking for 4 hours, you get tired. So, and we love to do it, and I think video games have come such a long way. I think from when they started to, not hiring great directors or great writers to now where it's really like working on film. I mean, Arkham City is like a beautiful, amazing game. Lollipop Chainsaw, not so beautiful, but fun. Yeah. So, it's still acting, it's just different because we don't get to play off each other. That's been my experience.
And I'm just going to add to that, I agree, it's a lot of oxygen. So you might be repeating the same thing over and over again, and it might be a scream or a yell or a, wait, look at, wait, ah, or you're falling, oh, can you do that again? Oh, okay, now your teeth are chattering, and you have a lot of layers to add to it, so
yeah,
it's repetitive in a different way, and on a scale of 1 to 10, you're mostly on about an 8.5, 9 for performance. Sometimes with, and I don't mean to say that when you're doing just our regular sort of prelay stuff that you're not 100% on, it's just to give that, okay, let's go, or I have to sound like a guy today, so I'm lower, it's a whole lot more action to make you believe that I'm running and I'm this big person or something, so, yeah.
I find that something that taxes me on a video game that doesn't tax me on a series is the difference in the narrative, because at least on a show I'm following the arc of the story, but so much of the narrative in a video game is about the actual gameplay for which I may not have any part. You're doing a lot of stuff I find which is make your character selection, select B, and so there's not really a lot of sort of narrative juice or emotional juice that's involved in that kind of stuff. And then again, like the way that it's organized, you're often doing 10 different versions of select B, select A, and then select B, select A, and then doing just all of that. And then you go on to the next stage and you do it stage by stage instead of sort of narrative by narrative. And I find that a bit like, it's very kind of listy and rote,
All right. Thanks, everyone. Before we disperse, just again, I want to remind everyone that right after this panel, everybody who's on this table are going to be across the hall in the autograph room taking autographs, or I should say selling autographs, taking them too, I suppose, for discounted prices that are posted. Like I said, a basic autograph, $10. You get 2 for 1 on the vouchers if you bought those yesterday. So if you haven't gotten an autograph, or if you even had an inkling of getting an autograph, you should go across the hall and go get an autograph to help this con. Also, if you are on Twitter and you feel like just retweeting a hashtag, because I don't know about you guys, but that's just something I love doing. Hashtag LostPegAssist, just to get more people involved, because again, this convention, they tried their hardest to make this the greatest thing possible, and they overextended themselves just a little bit. So we need to try and pull together as a community as best we can and help out. So in the meantime, one other announcement is that at 1 o'clock, Mr. Michael Dangerfield, down at the end of the hall here, this is a hall of a table. 1:30 is it? Okay, at 1:30 in the hall directly behind me, voice acting lessons.
Yeah, so if you want to learn how to do voiceover, come work with me, and I'll teach you how to be a world traveler in voice. No, but it's going to be fun. So come over and check it out.
He'll get out his broccoli, dip it in something, and eat it condescendingly. It's going to be amazing. No,
So just so everyone's clear, the hashtag is LostPegAssist.
Yes.
With no underscores and no hashtags.
No, it's all together.
LAS.
Hashtag LostPegAssist.
Thank you.
Do that at least. It'll be good. All right, guys. Thanks to everybody on the panel here. Marika Hendricks, Mark Oliver,